Welcome to On Mission. I'm Jim Evans. I'm really excited about this new mission we're embarking on. I'm an old vet on a new mission and looking forward to getting to know all those that join me. When I was 18 years old, I was sent on a mission to Vietnam. It lasted for 28 months. I was the crew chief of a two-seat light observation helicopter. Some know it as a Loach. Our mission was to identify and mark targets so the gunships, 4 Cobras or 4 Charlie model Hueys, when I first got in country, could come in and destroy the target. Or we went and we identified targets that the artillery wanted to hit, and we called in artillery rounds on specific targets. Or a third thing we did was to go and rescue and assist, bring in air support for our ground troops when they ran against difficult situations on the ground. One of my favorite missions we had. See, combat vets have their brains kind of rewired by the need to survive and the intensity of the situation. Here's how many combat vets are wired. You are either on mission or you're prepping to go on mission. There is no purpose or logic or joy in downtime. Standard vacations are not therapeutic for most combat vets. Ironically, they often are stressful and cause anxiety. Downtime is never great. After Vietnam, I had a very shaky re-entry, which involved drugs and homelessness and basic lack of purpose. Then I learned that God had sent his son on a mission too, to rescue people from their sins, and that he ultimately invited us to join him in that mission. I've been on mission ever since. Vietnam was my first introduction to being on mission. After Nam, I spent 30 years on mission to the neglected rural mountain people of Haiti. I didn't realize at the time, but I basically led medical and construction teams to go on overlanding in Haiti. We used four-wheel drive vehicles to get up into the mountain villages in the rural areas, driving in riverbeds, crossing over brooks, going up sharp mountain paths that were usually occupied only by oxen and carts or donkeys on switchbacks that a donkey maybe even had trouble getting around. And we would go and stay there usually close to a week. They had no refrigeration, no electricity, no telephones, no bathrooms. It was an awesome thing for teenagers and college students to be exposed to that type of living and appreciate all the luxuries they have back here in America. We'd often take our meat with us live on the hoof on the way up, get coconuts, bananas, and other things that are already secured in their own wrappings and not perishable, and used up there. We took a water purification system with us, and every day someone's job would be to purify 5 gallons of water, let it set for the day. We learned that if you let it set for the day, some of the chlorination taste or the purification taste gets out of the water. It tastes a lot better. So we'd be 5 gallons ahead every day. And it was wise to be 5 gallons ahead anyway. You never know when you might need water. In 2005, a friend and I went on a 6-week mission, and we rode bicycle. That's what I said, not motorcycle, bicycle, from Bangor, Maine to Dublin, Georgia, around 1,400 miles, to raise awareness of the struggles that were taking place in Haiti. Along the way, we had a bike malfunction in Portland, Maine, which caused the front end of the bike to wobble around and without steering and crashed. We also had a wheel spokes breakdown in Hartford, Connecticut. And we never knew what was around the next bend as we're rolling down the hill, trusting that we'd be able to deal with whatever's around the next bend. It was awesome. It was unpredictable. It was challenging. It was a combat vet's dream come true. More recently, I ran an inshore fishing charter focused on vets. equipment prep and strategic searches for specific fish, lure and technique challenges, unpredictable obstacles made it a great engagement for combat vets. But the boat maintenance, slip costs, and the business side of charter began to wear on me, so I sold the boat. I owned a Jeep for about 15 years and sold it to raise funds when my son had a nearly fatal motorcycle accident. And I needed funds. If you have a Jeep, you have funds. It's like having a bank. You can sell it tomorrow. I realized I missed my Jeep and immediately replaced it when I sold the boat. I still need to be on mission. I still want to engage with combat vets. Overlanding offers everything a combat vet needs for purpose, engagement, adventure, and camaraderie. But why do a YouTube channel? That's the question we're posing to you today. There are hundreds of overlanding and off-road YouTube channels. Why in the world would I do one? Why maybe would you want to do one? I want to challenge you with 3 reasons. Why you might consider producing an overlanding YouTube channel, even though there are already hundreds out there. First, connections. Connections. The overlanding community, off-roaders, YouTube community, and for me, veterans, can all become part of your journey and your mission, and you become part of their journey and missions too. Connections is probably the largest reason that I would engage in the hard work of the learning curve of doing a YouTube channel for overlanding. But secondly is sharing, getting input from others that may prevent buyer's remorse. I'm always glad to hear someone say, you said you were going to put this on your Jeep. Here's why I wouldn't do it. This has been my experience, or this is common knowledge, why don't you know it? Whatever, it's sharing back and forth, sharing positive products, trails, camps, and ideas. And thirdly, is just a simple thing of journaling. I wish I had a visual journal of my bike experience, that ride from Bangor, Maine to Dublin, Georgia. We had so many really neat experiences along the way that we didn't journal. We didn't, of course, YouTubing then was not a very popular thing at the time, back in 2005. Maybe it was for some, it wasn't for me. Well, here we are. So our mission begins. I purchased a 1998 Jeep Wrangler TJ. Lesson number 1, be careful what you buy. My initial fixes to this Jeep include these things. A new Jasper rear. I knew the rear sounded a little noisy, but when we popped that cover off, the rear was gone. As a matter of fact, some of the rear had gone out to the axles and destroyed the axle also. New axles. Then the new rear brakes. New exhaust system, including the exhaust catalytic converter. I had one before in my older Jeep. I had a Jeep YJ before this one. When that catalytic converter begins to clog up on a Jeep, it doesn't like it. It doesn't want to run right. And I knew they were the symptoms. I knew I needed to change at least the catalytic converter. But I went for the whole exhaust system, only to find out when I got up to the top of it that we needed an exhaust manifold also. We did new shocks, new fuel injectors, and a new fuel rail. I just feel like if you're going to put fuel injectors in for the simple cost, and you already have to rail anyway, why not put a new rail in instead of trying to clean out the old rail? Put in new spark plugs, new spark plug wires, a new distributor. And then about $1,300 worth of frame repair. And this is little for Wranglers from what they could be. And ironically, it wasn't in the rear part of the frame where most Wranglers seem to rot out first. This was up on the passenger side front and side, where the transmission bracket comes up on the side. So I had to replace both of those pieces and weld them in there. That's sort of what had to be done initially, where it's at right now. And here's what lies ahead as we prep for the first spring outing. And by the way, I am in Mid-Coast, South Carolina, and overlanding is not the norm here. We're about 3 to 5 hours from the nearest trails and the environments that support legit overlanding. I'll be addressing some of these challenges and sharing what I discovered on future episodes. But here's what's happening in the near future episodes. The next episode you'll see, we're going to PM the vehicle. In military terms, when I had my helicopter, we would PM. It's called preventive maintenance. It means having that piece of equipment ready when the mission calls for it. And in the case of this Wrangler, I don't want to deal with the frame anymore. I don't want to deal with those things on the undercarriage anymore. So the first thing we're doing is taking the bumpers off, so we have access to the channel frame that runs on throughout the Wrangler. Going to go in that frame, knock out all the rust that's in there, blow it out, wash it out, clean it out, and then coat the inside of the frame with some of this Eastwood frame coating. Comes with its own little nozzle, so you can stick it in the hole of the frame, run it up, squeeze it as it's coming back, coat the entire inside of the frame. It stops the rust and provides a coating to prevent any future rust that may want to come in there. Then we're going to come outside the frame and hit all the rust issues under the vehicle with some rust converter, and then go ahead and paint the rest of the undercarriage so we can keep tabs of it. We're also going around, and we started doing this because we're going to be taking bumpers off and stuff, and started lubricating all the nuts and bolts that someday maybe we'll want to take off and slowly let them soak. A little PM. Then we're going to install a new Paramount Automotive rock crawler front bumper. We're not going to put the old bumper back on. I need a bumper with a plate for a winch. And we're going to install a new Barricade classic rear bumper with a tire carrier. On the next episode, we'll be installing a new Badland 9000 winch and a Delta 150 series amber fog light. You probably see it up here over my shoulder. By the way, all these boxes and everything is everything I'm speaking about right now. It's all here, ready to go. Bumpers, tire carriers. We're going to be putting a Barricade roof rack on the top of the Jeep. And then we're going to build and install. I'm going up to my son's place. He's a carpenter. He works, he's a woodworker type guy. Has a good woodworking shop. We're going to build and install the kitchen drawer storage area for recovery equipment, for camping equipment, and for the necessary things we have in order to be self-sustaining. Here's what you can do. I hope you'll join this community. Come along. It's a new thing for me. YouTube's a new thing for me. Maybe you can give me some pointers of what I should have done better or whatever, but it'll work out. It'll be fine. Like and subscribe what you see here. You'll be helping vets out too, because as we grow, we're going to be impacting more and more vets. There's several veterans organizations around here that when I get to the position where I can really begin to help them, when I get 4 or 5 other guys or gals that have an extra seat in their vehicle, and we can go overlanding with these vets. I want to start taking vets out overlanding. There's a couple overlanding veterans organizations, but everything's west of the Appalachians. It's all out west. There is nothing over here on the East Coast, but we're going to try and create a little something here. So why don't you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those episodes that are coming up on the installation of all these fine things. We'll be coming out with new products and low budget mods. Go look up some of the things I was talking about. You'll see them in the future episodes. We'll link to them. And I don't buy high price stuff, but I buy quality stuff. You get what you pay for many times. So You really need to check it out and make sure you're getting something that you won't be sorry that you bought. And we'll learn about overlanding from Mid-Coast, South Carolina. It'll be good. Like and subscribe down below. Hit the notification button so that you'll be notified as these episodes come out. Join me on the journey. Be on mission with us. I'm glad you were here today. I hope you come back.